Welcome everyone to the Haven Hang, the live streamed Q&A virtual support platform for young women musicians, also known as lionesses, to ask questions and talk one-on-one with saxophonist, vocalist, and educator Camille Thurman. This is an initiative designed to mentor, share advice, and support young women pursuing careers in music and the performing arts. Here we discuss and give advice on making a career in the arts and being a woman, also known as self-esteem, confidence, musical, personal development, strengthening your skill, how to study, and navigating a life as a musician, and so much more. Today's special guests feature a violinist who is beyond category and recipient of multiple awards such as Doris Duke Foundation and the MacArthur Award, Regina Carter, and acclaimed vocalist and recording artist, and also president and founder of Jazz House Kids, Melissa Walker. We'll start out with a conversation with both Camille and these incredible women, and then we'll open it up to questions, and I will jump back in to explain how to ask a question. So thank you for being here today. Camille, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Uni?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely.
So, hello, my name is Camille Thurman. I'm a saxophonist and I'm a vocalist. And today we're going to talk about on the Haven Hang virtual music opportunities for young women musicians. And I'm really honored and thrilled to have two phenomenal, amazing artists that are also directing camps this summer, which I've been really, really, really happy and looking forward to learning more about today. And we're going to share that information with you. Please give it up for Regina Carter and Melissa Walker. Hi, Regina. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Camille. How are you?
I'm good. How are both you doing?
Wonderful. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. It's been too long.
Regina, how you doing over there?
Well, getting ready for the Jerry Allen camp that starts on Monday and trying to get my head wrapped around this whole teaching online.
Yes.
And I know you're starting, well, your camp has already been going and you're going the whole summer, right, Melissa?
Yes, yeah. And we started online March 16th. That was our first online program. So we've, had those bumps and bruises along the way. But, I got to tell you, the faculty just really rise to the occasion to really create some really dynamic, creative, incredible programming that, means so much on so many different levels. So, but, and Camille, and she's young. This is easy.
Right.
Exactly. Older folks.
Between me and Uni, I'm like, how does this work on Zoom?
That's it. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful though, because it's like the students are also seeing that us as teachers, we're learning and figuring out this whole new educational environment. So it's an opportunity for all of us to figure it out on the fly and improvise, which is what we do.
Exactly. I think the world now is understanding our life as jazz musicians, having to figure it out. And that's how we're programmed to go with the flow and figure out something. And so everyone else that had these jobs and they had the security and knew where everything was coming from, now all of a sudden they're living the gig economy as well. So
yeah.
We just have to roll with it. And it's fun. It's exciting. It is intimidating for me, but it's fun.
So let's start out with this question. I'm sure the ladies want to know, what made you decide to make the choice to go into pursuing a career in the arts? What was that moment that made you realize this is my life purpose and this is what I need to do?
Regina, we got to start. Queen over here.
Oh, stop, Melissa. Oh my gosh. I started playing when I was really young. I was on piano when I was 2 and violin at 4. And my mother, who was a kindergarten teacher, just wanted my brothers and I to be exposed to music and art. Basically, she said, y'all not going to be running up and down the street. You're going to be busy. And so I learned via the Suzuki method, which is a method where you learn to play by ear first, which is a really natural way of learning music. And I just fell in love with it. And I knew early on that I loved playing. I loved playing for audiences. So I studied, I was born and raised in Detroit, studied privately all the way through college and still take lessons from time to time. Went to a famous high school in Detroit called Cass Tech, was in the music department there. Went to New England Conservatory for 2 years, but that Boston and not having a campus was too much for me. So I transferred to Oakland University, where I'm artistic director there, and that's in Michigan, up in Rochester, Michigan. Graduated and joined a band in Detroit, all women's group called Straight Ahead, and toured and recorded with them. So I mean, from the beginning, I knew I wanted to be a musician. It was just in me. And once I was introduced to jazz, I knew that's what I wanted to do, against my mother's wishes. And there was a lot of back and forth in my household. But you know, when something grabs hold of you and it's your passion, it just takes hold of you, and you know that's what you're going to do. You can't see anything else. It's like you have blinders on, and you may not know how you're going to get to step B, C, D, but if you do the work and you want to do it, the universe, I love the saying, take the first step, and the universe will provide you the way or provide you the rest.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I had the same experience too. Both of my parents are educators, and when I told them that I was going to be a jazz musician, they were mortified. They were like, "Oh Lord, my daughter's going to be a broke musician. She's going to be on the street playing on the corner and blah 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 blah. She's supposed to be a teacher." It was like the end of the world. But I completely relate with you.
Yeah.
Melissa, what was your experience?
Or you might not be on the street, but you'll be living with them forever.
Yeah.
You know, unlike you guys, I think that I didn't choose music. I think I grew up with a family of educators. And two sisters who are very competitive and academically minded and business minded. And so I thought I've been interested in law and social justice my entire life. So I thought I would go in and become a lawyer. And so that was my plan. I went to Brown University, and I was living in Canada, and I followed the footsteps of my sisters who came out to the East Coast. I lived in Western Canada in Alberta, 400 miles north of the border, and it's very cold. But when I thought that my life would really be in social justice and in law. But at the same time, I had this great love and passion for music. It was deep in my family. I played bassoon in junior high and high school. The oboe was taken. There was no jazz band. And when you talk about kind of access to things, I grew up in a community that, I came to jazz very late. And it wasn't in my school, and I didn't know anybody who played it, but I remember watching Diana Ross and Billy Lady Sings the Blues. And I remember getting the Billie Holiday book, and that kind of opened my eyes to an area that I was not involved in. I've always been singing. I was taking what I consider light classical. I was doing, that's only because I was light, not the genre. But in high school, I was taking private classical lessons, and I was singing all the time, and any opportunity that I had. And then when I first heard jazz and heard these great singers, and I'm dating myself, but I went to Brown, and in our bookstore, there were all these cassette tapes. And I mean, this is bad. I am dating myself. It's okay. I'm proud to be with my age. And I went in there, and I got Dinah Washington and Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald. I had never heard these singers before. Believe it or not, I was in my first year of college. Found a private teacher there. We did classical, but I started singing jazz. And I met so many musicians in school that were so much more advanced than I was, and certainly had heard a lot of music. But I still thought that that was going to be just kind of my hobby, my love, and I was happy with that. And I was going to go on to law school. So I went on to move to Washington, D.C. I worked for a law firm called Scatting, a big firm far away from social justice. And I kept singing. And finally, you know, I told my mother after I applied to law school and got in and deferred, I finally said, you know, I want to follow my love of music, and that had really grown in jazz. And it was a woman that inspired me while I was in Washington, D.C. and really opened the doors for me. Her name was Ronnie Wells. And she and her husband had a studio, and he played piano, and she was a great jazz singer. And she introduced me to so many musicians, and that kind of opened my door to this music, and I just followed it. And then it brought me to the Jazz House, which is really my passion, which is about opening the doors for other young people to walk through, make a career, just get better, learn who they are, follow their path, gain confidence, and then move out in the world and bring music to the world. And now more than ever, after 18 years, I feel that making music is a real, is a gift to the universe that has made the universe a better place. And I know that can sound cliche, but in truth, in these times, I've seen it over and over, where creative people really enhance the world we live in.
Yeah. Could you expand on that, both of you, Regina and Melissa, because I know we have some young students out there that are trying to figure out, do I go to school for music or do I go to school in something else? How does pursuing another academic goal heighten your awareness of the world and make you a better musician in person? Could you speak on that?
I would say, you know, at this point, colleges cost so much money. It's insane. If I had children now, I think unless they had a real passion for something and wanted to go, I think I would tell them to get a trade, you know, something, you know, someone always needs a plumber, someone always needs an electrician. If they didn't have a passion, I don't want to discourage anyone from going to music school. But especially right now with this pandemic and we're all locked in at home and we can't necessarily go to school. The thing about playing music and performing is to be together physically and to play the music for people and to feel that energy, feel with each other and from the audience. And it's, although thank God we have technology, we can still perform for people, but there's that missing physical element. And I think it's, I don't know, with universities and colleges, I think it's become, teaching jazz especially, has become so formulaic. And so you have to do it this way and this way. And that's not how this music was presented in the first place. You know, people listen to records, they listen to the radio, they play together. And yes, there are tools that we need, but we can get those from musicians, learn from each other, learn from musicians, and not have to pay, not have to be in debt, serious debt when you come out of school. And especially living in a country where our government does not support the arts.
Right.
And I just, you know what, I'm going to throw this in, something completely different. I have to say, Melissa, I met Melissa, I think that's when we first met we were on tour with the great bassist Ray Brown. And oh my goodness, I have to say, Melissa, if you had gone and finished law school, you wouldn't have been a lawyer, you would have been a judge. Okay, let's just get that straight. That's
you know, that was some tour. You talk about needing to be grounded in who you are.
Please talk about that.
I mean, man, that was a learning I will never forget, you know. But, you know, I really just want to speak a little bit too. I hear you in terms of, you know, I think I was one of those young people who wasn't really sure how to navigate. I think early on I decided I wanted to go to law school, but, you know, I came out of school and I saw my friends it felt like they were achieving. You know, they were going on to grad school and they were getting that first promotion. And it felt like every few moments, you know, you would get your monthly alumni magazine and everyone's name was there. And here I was still trying to figure out my life. And I think there are more people than not trying to figure out their life and still walk through life. But so often, especially now in social media, people present this perfect view of who they are and their life. It's all coiffed together. And that's really a false view. That's not what life is. Life is really the struggles that you go through that make you learn. It makes you change course correct, go forward. But that's not what we see. We see very successful people. We see achievement. We see beauty. We see whatever that is. And I think that that's doing a disservice to young people because really it is about one foot in front of another. And it is about falling down and quite frankly, failing and making mistakes and dusting yourself off and getting up and doing it again and again. But that's not what we revere in this world, particularly in this country. And so I'm one of those people who dusted myself off kind of many times and even, you know, in reinvented myself a few times along the way. You know, my husband, you know, on the other hand, you know, my husband's Christian McBride, you know, he knew when he was 2, I'm sure, I am going to be a bass player. And he plays like he knew it from then on, right? But, you know, that wasn't my journey. And I want to say to particularly young women that if that's not your journey and your journey is one that has a windy road, you know, just stay the course of the road, stay committed to the road, stay committed to the learning, stay committed to the experiences. And you will find a path and you will find purpose. And I think that's what we're here to do. We're here to put more in than you take out. And the great Muhammad Ali, you know, he phrase, I'm sure he may have been the first or not, but the phrase of service to others is the rent you pay for your place here on earth. That concept, and, you know, Camille, you're doing that. You know, you need this sense of invest more than you take out, put more into the bank than you take out of the bank. And I think when you are a person who really tries to live by that as a musician, as a teacher, in whatever field, and you just do that course, but that road is gonna be windy. That road is gonna have some holes in the, you know, it's gonna have some valleys, and there are gonna be some dark times, and there's gonna be questioning times. And that is the course of life. We don't learn from sitting high on the hog. You learn from being down on your behind, trying to figure out how to stand up.
Right. Amen. Let the choir say amen.
That's so good.
You know, I wanted to add, if it's okay, just to your point, Melissa, about the winding road. Yeah, I knew from a very early age that I wanted to play music, and I thought, and I love playing in concert halls and clubs and what have you. But there came a point where I didn't know if I wanted to play anymore. But I don't know how to do anything else. So that little voice in my brain said, well, you better pick up the violin then. But I went through a really dark time. And, you know, when I spent time with my mother when she was ill and she made her transition. And that was an incredible experience because at a certain point, when she couldn't communicate verbally, I would play music for her and I would see how her vitals were reacting to the music. And I'd know, okay, take that off and put something else on. But I saw so many older people in the hospital without anyone to visit them. And that struck something within me. And so coming out of that dark time, I took a course, Intro to Music Therapy, and ended up becoming a hospice volunteer, where I would go into homes, and I chose the elderly generation population because a lot of times they don't have people to come and visit. And I would go, and sometimes I would play music for them, but just being there, just to talk to them, hold their hand, be there. And I found that the music, they really respond and really appreciate that. And so now moving, I'm teaching at the camp, both camps. I co-teach a class at Manhattan School of Music. Who knows what's going to happen with touring with this pandemic? But I found a new passion, a joy in playing and working with hospice patients and working with people that are making their transition, an end of life doula. So there's so many. At the Jerry Allen camp last year, we took the young women to perform at a nursing home, and the audience, they so appreciated it and so loved it. I just want young people to know, you might think, okay, I have this thing that I want to do, and as Melissa said, we don't know where life is taking us and what we're going to experience or what's going to pop up. We just have to go with it and trust our gut, because the universe is guiding us. But there's so many ways to use our gifts. And it's not just all about going through school, getting that degree, and then getting on stage. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. And no one can tell you the music and art is not about ABC. It just doesn't work that way. But how it works for you is not how it's going to work for someone else. But that's the beauty of it. We all have our individual experiences with it.
Regina, it's amazing, that work you're doing. I took care of my mother and took my mom in for about 3.5 years. And those were the best years of my life. I think to be able to give back to somebody who gave you so much, not only gave you life, but really gave so much. And then to make sure every day was as joyful as possible, and then to be there when someone leaves. I feel like that's such a gift in life. Sometimes they say youth is wasted on the young, in that you don't realize some of these things until you're older, and you realize the people, the teachers, the people, the parents, what some of the sacrifices that they have made so you can have a life of opportunity, And so that part, to see you doing that and using your gift, just your gift of empathy and compassion and gift of music, is so amazing. It's just so amazing, Yeah.
Both of you touched on something that was, close to me. I had a point where I thought about quitting because I was going through my dark period. What would you recommend to young women struggling with trying to keep continuing playing? In my case, I was dealing with sexism at the age of 13, 14, and 15 years old. And some young women, they email me at times about that too, and how to deal with it, how to keep staying focused, and how to stay motivated and positive with going forward. Do you have any advice for them?
Melissa, I'll let you.
Well, a couple of things. Seek someone's confidence. I think if you can try not to be by yourself in some of dark periods, if you can, I think it's important to have someone that you feel that you can talk to, that you can share, where you are. I think that really helps, as opposed to people who feel very isolated. I think one of the things that has helped me get through the challenges that I face, there are days and there are periods where I wake up and I'm, running a not-for-profit for 18 years that employs 60 people a year, many of whom count on it as a part of their livelihood. and all the young people and families we serve is a pressure that I feel. It's no longer this little thing that I just used to do on, a few days a week and call my friends and we go into a school. It's not that. There are people who are counting on this organization. And so, or in my life, one of the things that I always go back to are where did I have a challenge before and how did I come through it? Because I'm older again, but what I started to realize about 20 years ago was that life had, just like the sun sets every day, you go through a cycle. You do go through these periods. And what I always remember is I got through it. I got out of it. The sun rose again. And so once I started to realize that some of these times that felt so tough, I've been married before, I have been divorced, I've encountered loss. My father died when I was 7. I lost my voice for 2 years through a vocal rupture. Those periods, I could only talk if I wrote things down, were really dark times, about, okay, now you can't talk. What job can I do when I can't talk? Okay, you can't sing. I can't get on the phone. I can't, those were really challenging times. And I sought help, right? I sought friends, I sought support to understand. And then I remembered other times that were dark. And all I knew is that I came through those periods. And by the fact that I have something in my rearview mirror to remind me has allowed me to go forward into a world that I don't know what is in the future. And that has been helpful. If you look in the rearview mirror, and I don't care how old you are, right? You're nervous about leaving junior high school and going to high school. Oh my gosh, homework is going to get really intense. I'm not good at math, or, I really struggle with so-and-so. But if you look in your rearview mirror, you've had other moments where you have felt uncertain, or you have felt, unhappy, or whatever those things are, and they changed. And as long as you know that, and you say, well, what did I do? Well, I kept putting one foot in front of another. I kept putting one foot in front of another. Then you realize that it's a continuum of life. And this is just part of a continuum. This isn't life. This is life. It's expansive. And that is what has helped me through a rather unusual life. And I think that's what many artists lead, is a life that is handmade.
Yeah. I know for myself, when I was young and starting to play and figuring it out, one thing that really gave me motivation, especially when I would look around and notice, oh, wow, I'm the only girl. I don't know what to do. How am I going to be myself and figure out doing this unusual thing? I found people that I admired and mentored. Admired and loved. So they were like my mentors in my head. I loved Ella. I loved Sarah. I loved Carmen, because I would look at their videos and I would look at their pictures and see the poise that they carry themselves. And even though I never knew them, their presence was able to give me something in the back of my head to give me some type of strength of, okay, I want to aim for that. Regina, do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
Yeah, I think it's really important what you're doing, Camille, here. This, is so important. And for younger musicians to know, that they can reach out. We're here, for musicians to reach out. After the camp last year, some of those young ladies, they formed relationships. They can talk to each other, be each other's support team, but they could reach out to us, the faculty, as well, when they're dealing with something. And I think it's important for women to come together. And even if you're not a musician, there are always role models of women doing jobs that were always thought of to be a male-oriented or a man's job, and find those women and just talk to them about any issues you're having. The thing is though, we had a sister to sister talk last year with some young people, and I found that, in these universities and schools, when some of the students are dealing with teachers that are overstepping a boundary, and then they say, okay, we'll take it to the head of the school or the head of the department. There are many times when nothing is done to that teacher, and that teacher stays on, and now you become the victim even more so. The spotlight is on you as if you've done something wrong. So I think having these networks having a network of other women that you can talk to help through those. And I mean that doesn't end. I'm fortunate I didn't experience that when I was coming up, but as an adult, sometimes I've had things happen, and it just caught me off guard, and I didn't necessarily know how to handle it. And then, I go home in my mind and obsess over it and say, I should have done this. I should have said this. I should have. And those are good things. You arm yourself with, if that happens again, or if this happens again, this is what I'll do. It's good to arm yourself with those things. But I think the network, that's so incredibly important.
Yeah. And can I also add, I think it's important to really be honest about who your friends are. And that you have friends that will stand up for you. You have friends that will protect you. You have friends that will be honest with you. And it's important that you have friends with integrity, and you have friends with honesty, and you have friends who will keep your confidence. And so we use that word loosely, friends, right? But your friends have to have your best interests at heart and really be there in a way that has your best interest. Your friend can't be talking about you behind your back. Your friend can't be envious of who you are and put you down. Those are not friends. Those are not friends who will help you in life's journey. And I certainly think that that's hard, right? Again, this wanting to be popular and wanting to have the friends, but you have to really hone in on, are these good people for me? Are my friends, And by the way, your friends have to be good to others. They can't be good to you and bad to someone else. They can't be great to you, but bully somebody else. In other words, you have to be accountable in this life. You have to be accountable. It doesn't mean we are perfect, but you have to be accountable. It's not okay to be my friend, but I know you bully somebody else. I know you speak poorly of other people. I know you go on social media and shame other people. You have to be accountable. And that is also a real big part of it as well. And therefore, those people who are not good people to you and others, you should ask yourself why you're a friend of theirs. And are they going to be there in times of challenge, right? Them that's got shall give, and them that's not shall lose. And so you have to really be honest about who your friends are.
Yeah. Speaking on that accountability, what can we do in creating a community environment where we can educate in a safe space for young boys and young girls in developing their learning process for, learning instruments? I speak with educators sometimes, and I think this would be a perfect opportunity to create a space where we as artists in the field can work with educators and how we can make these learning spaces more optimistic and better for both young boys and girls. How can we do that? What are some things that we can do?
Well, I think first of all, we have to make sure that the educators in place are not the ones that are harming our young people, our young ladies, and young men. So that's the thing, because we can discuss with them, but if they're the issue, if they're the problem, they're the example for how their class acts. I remember a young lady saying she was in an ensemble and her teacher made passes at her during a lesson, I believe, and then during ensemble, because she rejected it, he would call her out and say, "You're not playing this right, or you play like a man, or play, you know," and just really embarrass her in front of the guys. And so the young boy, you know, the young men, they're looking at that and that's saying to them, it's okay to act like that. I think these discussions are really important to have with women, young girls and women, and with young men and older men teachers. But I also think it's a conversation that needs to be had with both, because they need to understand, young men need to understand and hear it from their teachers or whoever their role model is, that it is not okay to say this to a woman. It is not okay to treat a woman like this. Yeah, I think we've come a ways, but we still have a long ways to go. And it doesn't just exist in the music or the arts world. It just exists, period. So, but having these conversations and starting these groups, I think is an important first step.
You know, I think also too, we got to be conscious of the subconscious ways that we perpetuate patriarchal ways of thinking, like, oh, the trumpet's a boy's instrument, the flute is a girl's instrument. So even when they're picking up their instruments at an early age, we have to find a way to educate these students so that there's no gender constructs associated with the instruments that they play, and that there's no confusion when, well, if I play a tuba and I'm a girl, then how am I supposed to be, or how am I supposed to act, and vice versa. Just to throw that in there. Melissa, you want to add to this?
Well, that's very, very true. You know, we have had instances at the Jazz House where parents have struggled with the type of instruments that, you know, their young girls are playing, or their dedication to this music. I mean, I think one of the things that I think is important with programs like the camp, Jerry Allen's camp that Regina runs, or Chica Power at the Jazz House, is it gives young women a safe place to grow and discover who they are. And to do that in a place that is without judgment, at least the judgment that they feel when they're in a band room and there's one or only two girls, you know, and we hear this and they feel like, what did they, you know, sometimes they'll talk and they're like, I feel like I'm representing all young women when I try to solo. Well, that's a heavy load to be feeling on your shoulders when you're trying to just take a solo, you know, on all blues. I mean, you know, like, really? You know, and then I think what we're finding is that, and then role models are so important. Role models are so important. And I grew up in a community where my sisters and I desegregated an entire school system just because we're the only people of color where I lived. And we lived in the Upper Peninsula of Marquette, Michigan. And it was it, you know, and that's a load I wouldn't hope for anybody. But you know, there were no role models for me other than my family. There were just no role models. We need role models. So I think one of the things that these programs are doing for young girls, first and foremost, is bringing role models to the table. You know, Camille, Regina, you know, Anat, Ingrid, you know, they're role models. You know, I've never seen a woman, you know, in person play the trumpet. And play it with that ferocious intensity that we associate with men, right? Women are not usually allowed to be that way. When a woman has this, that's what's so amazing about Serena, right? She's got this grit that is scary. That is not something that women have been really allowed to do. It makes women today feel uncomfortable to see another woman with that competitive edge that says, I'm gonna take your head off. All in good, you know, it's all a game. But when I'm on that, you know, when I watch her, I just have this thing like, I don't care who you are. I am here to annihilate you as my opponent. I am such a competitor. You know, when you listen to Freddie Hubbard, I just feel like that man is going to take a solo and he is going to be the best at that solo at that moment. And I think that by having role models like you guys, who show that, and yet, as Dee Dee Bridgewater says, but yet can show all the aspects of being a woman, is so important than to think it's all or, you know, one or the other. Why should we have to make decisions about being a woman? I think that's beautiful. But a woman can be competitive, can be fierce, you know, can be intense. You know, that it's okay, men, you can be intense. Women, not so, don't be so intense. You know, that you never hear us say that about men. You know, they're a little intense. No, that's expected of a man. Women, oh, you know, we're still not comfortable with that. And so I think the more they see women who are so committed, who have talked about being single-minded about their pursuit of being the best that they can be, is just so learning. And that's why, you know, find a mentor, ask them those questions, learn about their journey. And that's why I also think it's wonderful when we see women and they have their children in tow. Yeah. And they are, you know, doing this. I mean, I've seen it with Ingrid, you know what I mean? And like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it's life. And so, you know, mentors, role models, they're everything. They're everything. And that's not that men, of course, and women should be mentors as well. But if you don't see someone who looks like you don't think it is harder for you to see how you can be that person. Especially when you see that, oh, everybody up here on the wall, I walk through the White House, they all don't look like me. Until you finally get to, you know, the Obama family, you're like, you look like me. You look like me. That's important. That's important, you know, for that.
That's very important. I'm glad you said that because I had so many thoughts in my head. Like even for me, when I was 22, that was the first time I ever met a woman saxophonist in person that was incredible. And that was Tia Fuller. I was in college, just at the point where I was going to walk down the aisle and take my geological science degree and be cool. But that moment changed my life, saying, oh, wow, it's possible. They exist. And that she can do it. And she looks like me, then I can do it. And then, you know, it continues. And I think it's very important for educators and even just society in general to see women occupying those spaces so that we have more examples present so that more young ladies can see, oh, possibilities there. I can visualize it. I can see it. Now I can do it.
There's an iconic picture of Jerry Allen when she had her first, was it her first child, or maybe it was Wallace Jr. on her back. She's playing at the Detroit Jazz Festival and he's in a carrier on her back while she's playing the gig. It's so powerful. And I met Jerry, what was that, years ago, let's just say that. I was living in Germany and she was playing a solo concert there and I went to the concert. And she's from Detroit as well. I introduced myself, and I always had this feeling as a jazz musician that, oh, I've got to act cool and say this like the guys. I got to be like a guy, and I can't wear makeup or this or look because they won't take me as a, you know, they won't think I'm serious. And Jerry said, why not? You're a woman. Celebrate being a woman. Whatever that means to you, celebrate that. That has nothing to do, you know. So I think that's important for young women to know as well. That yeah, we can do these jobs. We are doing these jobs, and it takes a while to build that confidence. Sometimes I still will have issues when I say something to somebody. You know, I remember I was doing a talk maybe about 5 years ago. And I said, yeah, this person always tells me I'm bossy and this, and I know I'm bossy and I'm blah, blah, blah. And this young sister came up to me afterwards and said, don't say you're bossy. You are the boss. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know,
we buy into some of those things, right? You know, those isms that are really a lot of those cliches, and we internalize them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know we're running out of time, but I want us to talk about the wonderful virtual camp opportunities that are out there for young women. And I know, Regina, you run the NJ Pack Jerry Allen Jazz Camp, and Melissa, you run the Jazz House Kids Jazz Camp, but you also have a Chica Power program too. Could you just talk about your program so that we can let the girls know what opportunities out there they can take advantage of and possibly get some more campers too?
Melissa, you want to?
Well, yours is right around the corner.
Yeah, mine starts Monday, the Jerry Allen Camp. I shouldn't say mine, the Jerry Allen Camp at NJ Pack. We're going virtual. That's at capacity this year. But we would love young ladies to check us out, and we're praying that we can go back to being in a building, being in the real world together next year at NJ Pack. And it's for young women 14 to 26. And we just asked them to send in a placement video. It's not an audition. It's just so that we can see who to place them with as far as ensembles. And most of the faculty, I kept most of Jerry's faculty and some amazing musicians that they work with. We have a movement class every day where last year and this year we had Brene Ali doing tap with us and showing movies and talk about the history of tap with jazz. And we took them to a club. We took them to hear Freddie Cole last year. And I'm so happy that they had that incredible experience to hear him, and had them play at a nursing home. So it's learning your theory, having ensemble technique class, but also trying to play together, having jam sessions and going out in the community. July 20th through 24th, I'm teaching at a camp at my alma mater, Oakland University, and it's a virtual camp this year with Nancy Steknita, who's a flautist, and Sean Dobbins, drummer. And that's for, I'm not sure of the age range of that, but if they go on to oaklanduniversity.edu, they can check out the Jazz Intensive program.
Wonderful. So Jazz House Kids this summer has been doing 2 programs. One we just finished up called Jazz in June. And it was a 4-week program with a real vast array of different things that young people could get involved in. And now we are getting ready to start on July 13th. We probably have most of the camp kind of filled. There's probably a few spots. So if someone is interested, they should reach out to us right away. And it is a half-day program. It's for 4 weeks. It goes into the early part of August. And it starts with jazz and eggs in the morning, and kind of checking out some of the music that's around and videos and what's kind of happening. It's a program that every day you kind of learn a different facet in terms of your musical training. And so there's composition, there's technique, there's a virtual big band, different components that will happen. And then every day there is a master class that's in history. So Ashley Kahn is going to be returning and doing a history component. And then, you know, people like Jasmia and Christian will be coming on, and many others who just escaped me, but will be coming on doing a master class every day. So, and what's really one of the great things about this time, and at least the silver lining, is that we're able to bring to the table, right, you know, that so many artists that you would otherwise maybe not be able to do. And so every single day there is a new guest artist that will come in. And so it's really amazing. Tonight we're running a Wednesday masterclass series. So tonight the great Maria Schneider, is going to be doing a masterclass from 7 to 8:30. And she's going to share, and this is rare, 2 sessions of her creative process. She's actually going to take us through her most recent record that's just coming out and how she formulated, what her creative process is. And then the other element that Jazz House is doing is each week on a Friday, we host, Christian and I in our house, host the hang at home listening parties. And so our next one will be on July 10th. And that's going to be about jazz and the power of protest in jazz. And so we will really look into that. We've had Latin, we've had vocalists. And so that's in the evenings. It's free and online. And so we are inhabiting the virtual space robustly. And I think it has been, I am just so impressed and inspired looking at the kinds of things that are happening. And like I said, we've been doing online programming since March 16th, but we've really learned a lot. We've adapted it to make programming that really fits the technology and really utilizes that well. And we've had Regina Carter come out for Chica Power in the past.
I'm coming in August.
Are you? Yeah, you are coming in August. Yeah. Thank you for doing that for us too.
Oh,
she was booked up before that. I was like, the rest of us are sitting at home like this.
Oh, stop.
So thank you for that. And so, check out jazzhousekids.org. So there are things just like a masterclass, a hang at home series, or actually taking a class for some continued learning. And then we will be doing kind of a hybrid in the fall of both some online and we hope to be doing some in person. And so, and Camille, we're going to get you this summer now that I know you might be around.
Hey, I'm down.
And we love when you have come out. I mean, Camille is an example of an amazing, can I share this story?
Oh gosh.
Camille had our most advanced students. And I was in my office and I could hear her out there. And she said, ladies, I just want you to know, get your instruments ready because we are going to work really hard. We're going to perform at a high level. And you're going to have to really focus and work at this. And that was like, I think again, Camille, that notion of setting a high bar, you set the high bar and expectation for those young women from the very beginning. I'll never forget that. She just said to them, let me tell you that it's going to feel hard in the beginning, but we're going to work hard and you're going to achieve that. You will be able to do it. We're going to focus, ladies. So come in, be ready. Don't have your horn sitting in the, every minute counts. And I just think that's another thing that we do a disservice sometimes where we don't really set the bar high. And those young women in our Chica Power program every spring and fall, starting in the fall, we'll have a free program, but we do a free program. And she was, and they did, didn't they? You let them know from the beginning that this is in front of you. We are going to reach and be ready to reach. And I was really struck by that right away. And you're a role model in so many ways, on and off the stand.
Yes. And that's so important. Tagging onto you, Melissa, often, we don't think, we usually think of ourselves as being a role model when we're on stage, but as soon as you leave the front door, you're on. People are watching you. They're watching how you behave and Camille, you were just, your mama raised you right. Just go say that. You are such a beautiful, elegant, well-spoken, smart, intelligent, talented, down-to-earth sister, and the planet is blessed to have you here.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me cry.
Playing it forward.
Thank you so much.
Oh, please. Oh.
Just to let you know, ladies out there and gentlemen too, and educators and parents, we have a Google sheet of some camps listed on there that you can access. It's going to be posted beneath the feed on Facebook. And if you want a copy, you could just leave your email at www.camillethurmanmusic.com and just sign up for the mailing list, and we can send it to you there. And you can access those camps. And if some of them have space, please try to sign up your students or your children, because there's some great, wonderful opportunities out there that they can take advantage of. And some of these camps take in consideration of what's happening with the pandemic. So if you're financially in a position where you are unable to, they will help you. So please check out that list and sign up. Also, I think we're running out of time, but I want to see if there's any questions out there. Do we have any questions from anybody? And it could be about anything. Oh, okay, I have one. This one is for Regina. And this comes from Marla. She says, "Hi, Regina. I'm so excited because one of my students said she's going to New Jersey to attend your camp. The only thing is she needs a lot of help to prepare for it, and it's difficult teaching in Zoom. I can't teach in person. I just wanted to get an idea of how to help her prepare for it."
If you have the video and video placement test instructions and also the theory test, we just need to hear where she is, where all the students are, and we will work with them from there, because we are all learning. We'll continue to learn until we leave this earth. It's a very loving group of people. The faculty, they're all great. So, just whatever, we just need to hear her play so we know where to put her so that she can grow during this 6 days. And it is difficult. It's going to be difficult for us teaching via Zoom. It's new for me, so wish me luck, y'all.
Got it.
We'll check in with you next week.
Yeah.
With everything, there'll be some wonderful surprises along the way.
Oh, sure. Melissa's always so upbeat and positive. I love it.
Come on, tell us, you must have people from around the world joining you.
We do. We have,
Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That's, we have a student from Guam, someone from Malawi, Singapore, London, Peru. That's one of the, beautiful things that, I heard, that all of a sudden the music, it already didn't have boundaries, right? But now the geographic boundaries really have really, evaporated. So, for some people, that means they're up in the middle of the night or in the wee hours of the morning. Right. But I think that's one of the beautiful things. So I'm gonna check in with you next week, Regina.
I'll be like, Melissa, you had a class that you offered for, I think, your faculty. I found out about it. If I had known about it beforehand, I would have been right there signing up for it. So
it's interesting. And we did something, you can find it on YouTube, you guys. It just put in Jazz House Alumni Super Band. And so Nathan Eklund and then some of the great arrangers at the Jazz House put together a 75-person band.
It was amazing.
And we put a call out to all of our alumni. Well, we've been doing a lot with alumni, so we put out this call, and 75 musicians came, vocalists and instrumentalists, and they played on the sunny side of the street. And we did a benefit concert with Lester Holt a few weeks ago. But this piece is so beautiful. And to see all of these students from all over playing together, I hands, give it up to the team, Todd Whitelock and Ed Palermo and Dylan Pramack and the people who put it together was Yardbird Entertainment put this thing together. But just some really amazing moments, and to see 75 alumni all playing on this one song. So, Regina, you're gonna have a good week.
From your mouth to God's ears. It's gonna be fun, no matter, I just have to let go of trying to control everything and think everything has to be perfect, because life isn't perfect. So I'm just going to have a good time.
Yeah. How many students will you have?
We have 41.
Wow.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Age 14 to 26.
Yes. The average range seems to be around 17.
Uh-huh. So high school. Graduating.
Yeah, we have one 13-year-old coming from Spain, or coming, tuning in.
Right. They're coming.
Yeah.
Just differently.
Yeah.
And when do you start?
Monday, 11 until I think we go till 4 or 5, at 4 o'clock, I think it is. And we have an hour break in there for lunch. So, yeah. Monday through Saturday.
Through Saturday. And
Right.
will you have a concert or something?
Yes. We'll have a virtual concert on Saturday. That's the part that's that's the challenging part.
Yeah.
Putting that together.
Sure it is. Yeah, that is challenging.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine.
So you've got an intense week ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
She's
got
got a great
another
faculty.
question. This is from Rose, and she's from New York City, and she asks if there could be only one thing, one fundamental thing that you practice every day, what would it be, and what exercise?
Wow, because that's so hard. Wow.
Yeah, that is.
I guess transcribing and recording myself and just trying to get the language down. If I only had to pick one. That's hard though.
Listening and learning through listening. Someone told me long ago, no longer listen just to listen to learn.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I just use the word transcribing. A lot of times when I work with young people, and I'll go in, and they're not necessarily music students, and we'll be doing a blues, and I teach them the scale and say, okay, you can pick one note or two notes. And we talk about transcribing, and they freeze up like this thing. And I remember one situation, I heard these young girls that didn't want to do it and wouldn't do it. And they were in the hallway singing, and probably singing like a Beyonce song. And I said, well, how did you learn that song? I said, did you order sheet music, to learn it? Things. And they said, no. And they said, we just learned it from listening to it. I said, transcribing. We just put a word on it now, but we all, we hear things over and over and over again. Next thing you know, we're humming it. Mm-hmm. And so, like you said, we're learning from that.
That's so true. We have another question.
Camille, what would you say?
Yeah. Me, what would I say? Transcribing is your best bet, because that's how you learn language. This music is a language, and I think it's important, just like when we're babies, we learn how to talk by listening. We learn how to play by listening, and find something that you love, sing it, and make it part of yourself, so that you're kind of absorbing the music, and then challenge yourself to see, if I could sing it, can I find it on my instrument? Because that's where the confidence grows, the ability to be able to transfer it. And take your time, have fun. When I first did my first transcription, I was 14, 15. I think I was playing tenor, and it was Dexter Gordon's Second Balcony Jump on the album Go. And when my teacher gave me that assignment, I was like, I'm not doing that. But I went home and I listened to it, and the energy that I heard Dexter play with inspired me to get on my horn and figure it out. And it took a minute, but it was the best thing in the world that I did for myself, because I learned about how I learn, and I also learned how to get to my instrument. And the more I did it, the quicker I got, the better I got at it. So then when it came time to taking a solo, I had something to say. It was easy. It was just like talking.
So you've just explained the process of learning, the process of getting better, right? And you went back to an early time, like that's in your rear view mirror, right? You know, again, that's the same thing that we can recall in all aspects of our life. How did I get through a challenge before? How did, you know, you asked an earlier question. You just explained it. And you went way back to when you were 14 and you're still recalling that experience and you're just refining it and keeping it going.
Yeah, I think, ladies, it's important for you to understand out there, whoever's listening, this process is a lifelong process. I mean, all of us here are still figuring it out, and it's always evolving. And that's the beautiful thing, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's never going to be set. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be the same way every time, that particular methodology. No, it might be different. And we got to be comfortable with that, because you got to love yourself in the process of learning and falling down and getting back up and scuffling your knee a little bit and then dusting it off and getting back again online and running and figuring it out. It's the process that you fall in love with.
And Camille, you said something really important that struck a note with me when you said you had to figure out the way that you learned.
Yes.
And forever, I used to beat myself up because I don't learn things a certain way. And I said, all these people can learn it. I should be able to. I should. And I was stuck in that place instead of accepting how I learn. And it's only been in the last, say, couple of years that I've accepted that. So that's really important as well. You know, how you get to the information, that's your journey as well.
Yeah. And then also, don't ever feel pressured. Like, I know for me, I had memories when I was 15, 16 playing with all the guys in the band. And in my situation, it was kind of an extreme situation where there was sexism and bullying, but I had to tell myself every day, do not feel like you have to perform a certain way because of the outside pressure. You can only meet the expectations that you aspire to meet. Don't try to please other people and meet their expectations. You grow at your own pace, and you have to be comfortable with that, because that's going to be a lifelong thing. Some people get things fast, some people get things slow, some people, they might get it slow at first, but next time they're going to get it real fast. So you got to be honest and comfortable with that, and not ever judge yourself because of how fast you are not learning.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's a good one too.
Yeah. Do you have any last words of advice or encouragement for some of our young lady musicians out there?
I'd say playing music, you know, I'm so upset that music is not offered in schools when you know, for the elementary level schools, not in a lot of schools. But playing music, you know, coming to these camps that Melissa has, Jazz House, and the Jerry Allen camp or Oakland University's camp. The thing is, you might not be a professional musician. That might not be your goal. If it is or if it isn't, you have to enjoy it. You got to have fun. Don't do this if it's not fun. There are plenty of other things to do. And if you're with someone studying and you don't feel like you're getting the information from them, or you feel like there's just no connection, or it's a negative situation for you to be in, don't feel like you have to stay there. You don't. Talk to someone and take yourself out of that, because that could do so much damage. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would say be all in. Be all in the endeavors that you choose in life. Give it your all. Be all in. I think is the people that we really revere and respect for what they have achieved in any field is because they were all in and they gave it their all. And sometimes we don't realize what that really means, to give it your all and to dedicate yourself with that kind of commitment. I think that's what I would say to young people. Be all in your endeavors, and then you will get what you will get out of it what you put in. And boy, I used to hate hearing that statement. Oh, it's like, really? Okay, thanks. But that's the truth. You will get out of it what you put in. And don't check the box that says, I'd like to be a celebrity. I'd like to be famous. Though that's not what this is about.
That's what YouTube is for.
Be all in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Check the box that says I'm going to put in more than I take out.
I'm going to throw this out there real quick. To our ladies in the chat room, do you have anything to say? I see we got Jennifer Vincent. It was an amazing
Hey, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Talk about another fabulous musician.
Yeah. And we got the amazing Maxine Gordon there too. Wow. Do y'all have any words of advice or encouragement? Oh, Dara's there too. Oh, hey, Dara.
I'm gonna sorry to just jump in abruptly. I'm just gonna explain really quick if people don't know how to ask a question on Zoom. If you're in the Zoom room and not on Facebook, if you go down to your participants tab at the bottom of your Zoom screen, click on participants, and you can click raise hand, and we'll be able to see you, and then we can unmute you, and you can ask a question.
Great, Maxine Gordon in the house too, yeah.
Oh, I think Jennifer's trying to speak. She's muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Melissa, I was thinking about something you said earlier about the continuum of life, and about how like some certain phases in your life might be better than other phases. And we're kind of going through a very interesting phase right now. And I think that I've found in my rearview mirror, I've found that really great situations aren't 100% great. And really bad situations aren't 100% bad. And there's a lot of really good stuff to get out of really kind of weird, challenging situations. And I just think that's a really kind of this little generalized, but I think it can apply to this time right now.
It's not a zero-sum game. It's not all one and all the other.
Right. And so I think that like I don't really feel, it's upsetting, like, these gigs I'm not doing right now. It's very upsetting, but at the same time, there's a lot of really good stuff going on. I like quiet. I'm actually hearing birds. I'm actually like hearing music better in my head now because I don't have all this other stuff in my head, having silence and birds in my head. And it's making me transcribe better, and it's making me practice better. I'm playing better in tune now because I don't have a bunch of traffic in my head all the time. I just have like bird songs in my head. So there's a lot of really good stuff to get out of this downtime. Yeah. That's all I have to say. Yeah.
Couldn't agree with you more. Yeah. Here, I'm going to give you a clap.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I'm doing a lot of Zoom lately.
I know. Wow. Clap technique, yeah.
Let's see if you can find that, Regina.
Let me see. Here.
Down there where you got some reactions. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Thumbs up.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Regina and Melissa, for joining me today. This was such a beautiful session, and I hope the young ladies and hopefully some young men too got something out of this. If you want to find out more about Regina Carter, you can go to www.reginacarter.com. And if you want to find out more about Melissa and Jazz House Kids, you can go to www.jazzhousekids.org. And we do have a sheet beneath the Facebook feed, so you can click on links to virtual camps that are out there for young students. The next Haven Hang will be July, I'm pulling up my calendar because I want to give you the wrong date, July 15th. And I'm not going to say who it is because I'm going to keep it a surprise for another week. You'll have to join the mailing list at www.camillethurmanmusic.com/thehavenhang to find out more. Once again, thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for having us. Thank you. Good to see all of you.
Yeah, you too. Oh my goodness.
Your guests.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for
wonderful.
doing this, Camille. Camille's really important. Thank you.
Of course, it's an honor. And thank you, ladies, for joining us on Zoom. I know the world can't see you, but I see you. Thank you for supporting.
Absolutely. Take care.
Take care.
Bye. See you
Camille.
soon.
See you in the next Haven Hang, everybody. Take care.